Hello. Can you hear
Primas, do we look
me?
different?
We're
What?
more we're more up close and personal today.
Hopefully you can
Maybe
hear us.
I know. You can hear me? Testing?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Hopefully the Primas can hear us.
I think so. I think so. All right, primas. Well, I'm Glady,
And I'm Christy.
and this is Dear
Dear.
Primas.
Wow, what are we doing our
I
hands?
don't know. I don't know. It seems a little different. It's gonna take some getting used to. I think it was
For
much
those
needed.
that are not watching, yeah, for the Primas that aren't watching, are trying something new. And it's via virtual recording.
Virtual recording. We're not in the same room, but I feel like the vibes are gonna be the same. It's just gonna be a little
I
different.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. We got to get ready just, to prepare because
Baby boy number two is gonna be here any minute now, any day now. When? It's just a waiting game. It's just a waiting game. So we have
literally the
to
limbo.
pivot here. We have to see what's gonna work and test things out. And it's, I think, a little overdue, but we're here and we're
Yep.
trying it.
Yep.
Dang, I was gonna say something, but I forgot. But yeah, so how was your weekend?
Oh, it was good. I did want to. March Madness has not been maddening this year. So typically, March Madness is basketball, college basketball, and typically it's known for a lot of upsets. And that just means like a higher ranked team gets beat by a lower ranked team, and then they call like the Cinderella of the whole, whatever, whatever. Well, this year, for I think since
Yeah, well,
2000,
last year was what, SFA, right? Or a few years ago or something?
I just remember it always being like smaller colleges. SFA, I don't remember how far they went, but yeah, they were like more known for being lower ranked in their division, and then they made it further into the tournament than they had anticipated. But for example, this year for the Final Four, all of the Final Four teams are ranked number one, which normally that does not happen, or it hasn't happened in the last, I don't know how many years, I don't remember what the stat was, but only 11% of brackets had that call correctly. And you want to know whose bracket had all four teams correct? John
No.
John's.
No way.
But he was all for the number one seeds. And
Okay.
me and John kept looking at each other like, "Ooh, this is not going to turn out good for you. This is not." And it turned out. He got all four right.
He knows something.
Yeah, he's been excited. But yeah, so we've been just watching March Madness because obviously I'm bandwagoning because I did not attend U of H, but my husband did. So by
Okay. By
marital.
marriage.
Exactly.
And it is in San Antonio.
And it is. That's right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Adrian
gonna be
was
fun.
saying there's like the Texas Open and the Final Four all in one weekend in SA. So it's gonna be a pretty wild weekend.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that'll be awesome for San Antonio.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Sorry.
Okay,
Apart from
okay.
that March Madness, it was we took a Prima poll about
Oh, yes.
watching versus listening, and it said a lot more listen.
We did
Um,
real girlies.
yeah, and so does that pertain to us too? Maybe, I don't know, but I feel like we get decent views on our YouTubes
Hmm.
that we post. So I'm like, who's watching?
Yeah, yeah. Not the one that pulled.
I know. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But anywho, sorry about March Madness. That's exciting.
No,
So is that this weekend coming up
it is this
or
weekend, this Saturday, April 5th.
okay,
It is,
okay.
yeah, big game.
Nice.
So U of
Nice.
H is playing Duke, and they're both ranked number one, and they're both very, very good. So we
Yeah.
shall see.
Nice.
Yeah,
We have not partaken in any of that watching, but
of the March Madness.
yeah. But anyway, but
Oh,
that'll be good for Houston.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like everybody's excited. I don't know if it's just my feed feeding me more of the that content because I like it so much, but I feel like everybody, even the Astros, were like shouting out the U of H Cougars. It was pretty cool to
Yeah,
just
yeah.
see anytime any U of H or a Houston team is some sort of like, in the
The spotlight.
going up, yeah, for like playoffs and things like that. I feel like all of Houston kind of rallies, and it's
Yeah.
pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's nice to see for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so this episode, we are talking all things a pregnancy update and just what Glady is going to walk into because he's going to be a whole new. I mean, even Nono. Nono's going to get a whole.
I know. He
And
has
I want
no
to see how
idea.
you feel with all of that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about everything, like what I've been experiencing this pregnancy versus with Antonio, because I think the last time we talked about it was pretty early on, which is when you're
mhm,
feeling a lot of the things. But, as I'm going on, you still feel things and things are still changing.
for sure.
And so, yeah, we're going to talk about that, how you prep. for your first versus the second. The timing of it too, we're a little close. And then like just the anticipation of everything I'm feeling, like you said, emotionally and just taking into consideration baby no. And yeah, so I think there may be some of the primas that watch us or follow us that are entering their second parenting, their second, what's the word? Their second pregnancy, the second
Uh-huh,
baby,
uh-huh.
whether it be as close to it as I'm doing it or not. I think regardless, it's just like the unknown, which it's the same with number one, I feel. It's like a little unknown, and now you're adding another to the mix. Yeah, I think we're gonna talk about all that. But let's start with, I guess, the symptoms,
Yeah.
right? First versus second. With Antonio, I think at the beginning, I think first trimester was super similar. The food aversions were there. Didn't want to really eat a lot of meat. If I cooked it, I didn't want to eat it. If I could even cook, a lot of it was just like, I don't want to do this. I'm surviving off of microwave meals for myself, at least.
Mhm.
That was pretty similar. The brushing of the teeth. Did we talk about this in any episode? I don't recall.
I don't remember you
I think
mentioning
I
brushing.
think I mentioned it in the one that I knew I was like, that's one tall tale sign that I knew I was pregnant because
Yes, yes.
the gagging when
That's true. You
brushing.
did say that.
Yeah, I think that was it, but it was like brushed over. But with Antonio, it was pretty bad. This one, it's even worse. So I will say, like with Antonio, that was like the only time I really got sick. This one, I've had other times that I've actually gotten sick, like randomly, but the brushing the teeth, I think, is so hard. Like, it's pretty gross to admit, but I can't brush my teeth first thing in the morning. Like, it can, every time I do it, I regret it. And stuff
Feel,
comes up. Like,
yeah.
bile will come up. It's so bad. And Antonio, if he's there, because he'll, brush his teeth with me, like, while I'm doing it. He's like, Mama! He's so concerned. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Because I'm a horrible thrower upper, get her sicker. Like, it's really bad. And it was funny because at the birthday party this weekend, there was three of us that were pregnant. And one of them,
Oh, baby
she was
making season.
yeah, she was on her second as well, and then the other one was her first, and they experienced it too, but theirs went away after like the first trimester, and I'm like, no, I'm still
You're
knee
just
deep
sticking around.
in yeah, is and that's honestly the thing hardest parts because it's gross.
Yeah.
But the tongue scraper seems to help, but yeah, it's still a nightmare. And then something that I did not experience that I heard a lot about with Antonio, I didn't have it with him, having it now, are the Charlie horses in my legs, in my
Do you have
calves.
it in dead sleep? Do you ever wake up with a massive Charlie horse? It's just
No,
while
but
you're out
it's
and
when
awake.
no, 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 it's when I'm like laying down, either waking up or going to sleep.
Mm.
And it's like I feel like they're so tight and I just want to get a good stretch in. Can't do it.
And that triggers it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and normally it was at night, but on Saturday morning is when I had the first one in the morning, and my left calf is still so sore from it.
Oh my gosh, I feel like that it has to be only a pregnancy thing because I feel like the worst ones that the soreness stays and just lingers
Yeah.
was when I was pregnant.
Yeah, and I heard everybody talking about it and like on TikTok and stuff, and I'm like,
Hmm.
y'all are lying. This no, it is so bad. And
It's traumatizing.
I never had Charlie horses in my life. Like not even
Same.
playing sports. Like I had seen people go through it and you would see like the muscle get super tight. It's
Yeah.
painful. And
I
like I
remember in dead sleep doing that.
yeah, no, like it's so bad. And so I feel like I constantly want to stretch, but I'm like so scared to do it. But that's
Yeah.
real. It's a real thing. It's a real thing, unfortunately. It's happening. But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest ones that I've did not experience whatsoever with Antonio. And now it's like here.
Yeah.
And then my caffeine intake, which with Antonio, I kind of made a decision to not drink as much caffeine just because I didn't feel like I needed it. If I felt like I needed it, I would do it. And I just drink coffee in the morning. That's all my caffeine intake. But of course, now having a toddler and you need it, and I couldn't have it. I would get so nauseous all day long with the coffee. Now I'm able to drink a little bit of it, or like if I was out and it was like I can have a little bit of it at night or something, like because Hispanic parties always have coffee at the end of the night. I was okay then, but when I needed it the most, like during the day in the morning to get things going,
Yeah.
horrible mistake. And I think that's when I've gotten sick too. Like I'll all of a sudden I can drink water, I can eat first, wasn't working. Now it's a little bit okay, but that sucked a lot because I felt like I needed it and I couldn't have it. My body was just not reacting well to it.
Yeah.
And when I did have it with Antonio, I didn't feel that. But I think those are the biggest ones that I can think of. I feel like I was just talking about this at the party because the first one that, she's pregnant for the first time. We're just, you like to trauma bond
Comparing.
when you're
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep.
pregnant.
Instant.
And yeah, and I think because you just want to talk about it, and people that are not, pregnant at the time, they don't care. I mean, they'll ask you, "Oh, how are you feeling?" I'm like, "Great, I'm all good," but they don't care. They don't want to
Not that they don't
know that
care.
I can't brush my tongue in the mornings. No, they just don't. It's just like I'm not gonna go on and on and on and like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's nice whenever you have someone that you can relate to, and never we're just like going back and forth. But I feel like when people ask you like how they haven't had a kid and they ask you about pregnancy,
Mm.
what's your take on that? Like, what do you
Ooh, yeah. Mm.
like? You
Do you
don't
want a
want
sugarcoat answer or do you want like a
to
real answer?
exactly.
And how real do you want me to get? Type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. What
Because
do you lean in the middle or do you ask like?
I might lean in the middle, but then I'll be like, depending how I'm feeling that day, I don't know.
Yeah, and I feel like I always preface it with it could be worse
Right.
because
Right.
I have
Absolutely.
not like the chronic sickness didn't experience besides the nausea, but I
Hmm.
feel like like actually having to throw up and getting sick is so much worse that I feel like I can't complain. There are
Well,
things.
and yes, and true. And sometimes I feel like when I don't complain, it automatically pisses them off too, because it's like they only have heard people complaining, which
Yeah.
is pretty common. But I feel like I did have really good pregnancies, and I
Mm,
never want to like just be like, oh yeah, they're all fantastic, great, but because you don't, I don't know, it's not received well sometimes.
true.
But I really do try to like make sure that I,
Add a little bit of it.
right, right,
Yeah. And it's not like you say, it's like the days that you have. Like, even if you
yes,
have, I feel like the worst first trimester, like there's so much more left after it that it kind of gets
absolutely,
buried underneath your brain,
very true.
until you're going through it the second time. You're like, oh yeah, it was really bad.
Uh-huh.
The
Uh-huh.
first
Reminded.
time, or yeah, but I think yeah, so I with one Edith's sister, she was asking a lot at Edith's birthday party, or the little boy's birthday party, about pregnancy, and Edith's like, she pulls everybody. She's like trying to gather as much information before she enters that phase of her life, and she's
Yeah.
like, and I just tell her everybody's so different. And me
Hmm.
and her Edith's sister-in-law, we were both pregnant, and her sister-in-law's due in June, and I think it's also her second, but there's like a huge, not a huge, I think like 4-year age gap between her
Yeah.
first and her second. And we
Okay,
were
okay.
just telling like all the things, and we were being pretty raw and real, I think, at the time,
Yeah.
because we were both like in thinking about it and like in the thick of it. And she was like, okay, wow, whoa, the brushing the teeth she'd never heard of before. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's something that not a lot of people talk about.
Mhm.
And I think we're all experiencing it. So I think that's why I kind of wanted to talk about that, even if I brought it up before. Because now that I think about it, that was one symptom nobody talked about on TikTok. And maybe
Yeah.
because they didn't want to sound nasty and dirty, but
Right.
it's a real thing. But yeah, so I think when we are talking about it, edge, like, yeah, I don't want to seem like, oh, it's the most beautiful thing ever. Even if
Right.
it,
Right.
like with Antonio, I felt pretty good about it and all that, but things change, your body change, everybody's
Hmm.
different, and you roll with the punches with whatever is given to you,
Yes.
I think, at
Yes.
the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those were some of the symptoms. That the biggest one is the damn Charlie horses. I think that's the difference. And I feel like there's one more, it might come to me later, about like the difference, because I feel like that's like the biggest difference. But yeah, and then of course the other differences are the prep for the pregnancy, or like the baby arrival. Number one, you're getting everything ready. You're making
Ahead
the
of time.
registries. Yeah,
Way ahead of time.
if you're gonna have a nursery, you're excited about getting
The
that
nursery is set
together.
up
Yeah.
3 months before baby gets here.
Is it necessary? No. I knew that too
No,
going in with Antonio, but it's like it's the fun part.
it is.
Um, but with number two and it being the same gender. I
Mm-hmm,
think is
mm-hmm,
also not
mm-hmm.
helping. Homeboy's just gonna slide into that same nursery. There's not gonna be a change of decor.
He's not who he is yet. He
No,
hasn't figured out who he is yet, and that's
exactly.
totally fine.
And I'm like, are we already instilling trauma into the second child?
You know, Danielle would say so, but I'm here to say I don't think so.
Yeah. Oh, there is something I want to. I'm gonna write it down before I forget.
Okay, okay. You know, I think both boys, neither one of them had a nursery whenever they
Hmm.
were born either. We were just kind of, we were still bopping around town, going all
Yeah.
over the place. I mean, they had a bed, which, survival, we
Yeah.
have shelter, but I don't know. I'm not the person to ask about the
I
nursery and like the setup and the prep.
I
So,
know. So for Antonio, I went all out, had all the things, had all the, did the decal of the world and the animals, which he loves animals. It works out. He points to it and he says the animals and all that. But yeah, the number two is just gonna just go on in when he does. And for the first 4 months, at least 4 months, I know I think the recommendation is a year, but that's a lot to be in the same room with
y'all
judgment.
staying on me.
No judgment. But with Antonio, like I just like he was a good sleeper. Like he was doing 6 hour stretches or like
Mhm,
four and a half
mhm.
to 5 months. And so we moved him to the nursery and it's close, he's down the hall. I feel like if he had to be upstairs and we were downstairs, that situation probably would have been a little bit different for us. But anywho, my goal was to have Antonio transferred to a new room just so it wasn't so many changes all at once. We
For
did
sure.
transfer him to like the toddler bed,
Hmm.
which I think is good, right? Because we're gonna
Yeah.
use the crib as the mini crib as the bassinet, and so he's still gonna have his room for a while until baby transitions into that, and then well, I don't want to segue into it because it kind of does, but we'll get off track. But yeah, the nursery. Same gender. And even if it wasn't, I think the mentality would still be like, we ain't worrying about that right now.
Yeah.
But maybe I
Yeah.
would. If it was a
The
girl, I
least.
don't know. It's fun. There's cuter things. But yeah, so that's number one. And then just like acquiring things, we already have mostly everything that we need. And
Hmm.
it's so close. Like there will be 21 months apart. I still have everything's pretty, like nothing was in storage. We hadn't even moved up Antonio's newborn clothes to the attic. I just had it stuffed at the bottom of the closet in,
Yeah.
the tote bag. And
Yeah.
so I finally found that and got that stuff out. It made me so emotional seeing like his
Oh,
little
seeing all the little bitty,
newborn onesies. And I'm
how
like, oh, I
little they
really,
are.
and I'm like,
I
I just
know, I
remember
know.
him in this. And I started crying.
Yeah.
Not like bawling, but it like, oh my God, Adrian, I didn't think I would get this emotional.
Yeah.
But, he's just going to slide into those newborn clothes too. So the one thing that I was not like super concerned, but I was like, he just needs his little going home outfit. And so it's customary in the Cuban culture for the babies to go home in yellow. And so thank you, Marshalls. I might wear this home with the baby too, so
I
no
think that's
judge.
legit.
So that's like the one thing I was like, okay, I need to find a yellow little sleeper onesie, not a fancy going home outfit, just a little sleeper. And I was like, it's springtime, it should be easy. Wrong. There's nothing that was yellow for boys. Everything was so like girly with the lemons or like cute little bumblebees, and I'm like, damn it. And so Adrian was like, well, can't he just wear the same thing Antonio wore? And I'm like,
Same thing.
oh,
Your
this is
comment
what
to that was also, are we creating the second baby
Mama.
trauma?
I'm like, let's just start adding to the list. But I feel like that's even worse because, it's like just starting them off on the wrong, let's just
But it could
slap
be a
on the same
sentimental
thing.
thing, like each baby was brought home in this same outfit, a baby of
It
the same
could.
gender.
It could. And you could even be with the little girl. But I'm like, you know what? No, we're not going
Yeah.
to do that, Danielle. I'm thinking about you. Let's not. Everything else is going to be hand-me-downs. Let's give them one thing that's.
Okay.
But I will say that what I ended up settling on is one that I had bought for Antonio that he didn't wear. He never wore it. He never even wore it as a newborn because I couldn't find anything. Even on like Amazon and everything, like it was just like too. I wanted like also a soft yellow, not like anything
Yeah.
crazy bright.
Right.
So he is gonna have his own outfit, but it was already purchased before, but Antonio never wore it. But that also wasn't acquired until, or thought about until like 2 weeks ago. And I'm
Yeah.
39 weeks pregnant tomorrow. So crazy.
The prep is not so prepping ahead of time, but
Nope.
really when it comes down to
the wire.
Yeah. It gets
And
done.
having Antonio chasing him around all day, it's all, you just, yeah, it's not a lot of time to think about or to like have everything laid out
Well, and
perfectly.
here's the thing. I think you think about the things that you actually need. And
True.
that's the might be the difference between first and second is the first you really don't know what you're getting into, so you kind of
Hmm.
just like, oh, and then you prepare and you think that you need these things, but then the second one you already know like, oh, it's probably going to need this thing before it needs that. So I'm going to hold that off until like it gets 2 months. The
Correct.
baby. The baby.
You
I'm
know,
talking like I don't have kids.
the thing, that's coming out. That's true. Yeah, and also to be fair, when you're having your first, you don't have anything. So you have to
Yep.
acquire things, you know?
Right.
And yeah, so that also leads into, I guess, the baby shower, which a lot of
Mhm.
people do have baby shower, baby sprinkles.
Yeah.
I did not, we had the intention on doing like a diaper thing because that's like the most helpful thing in the world. I feel like even if, I mean, we were so grateful that like people bought off of our registry, but I hear horror stories where people don't buy off of a registry, and that's hard when it's your first because I feel like you're so intentional with the things that you're putting on there, and they're most of the time necessities, right? That the baby's going to need, and that's what I focused on too, were the necessities. But we got all that, and then Adrian had his separate diaper party with his guys, and that was beyond, like, we didn't have to buy diapers until Antonio was like 10 months old, like, or 11 months, and diapers and wipes. And so that was a blessing. But and so that's what I had told him, especially with it being the same gender. I'm like, we have the clothes, we have the big ticket items, we have, what we need at the beginning
Right.
for sure. And so let's just do a diaper and wipes party. But it's just so much, like I talked about before, so much of the holidays. And then once that cleared up,
Yeah.
I'm now in the third trimester. I'm like, do I want to host something? Do I want, like, do I want to plan? Do I want to think, spend energy on that? Adrian was like, it's not that big of a deal. And so that's another trauma list to the thing. When did we celebrate this baby's coming to life? I don't know. Sorry,
Yeah.
you didn't get a baby shower, maybe something.
But even too, like the progress pics, like I feel like that's a thing in the in the first with the first baby. Like, oh, I'm 6 months, this month because it is the
Yeah.
first and it's so exciting. The second, I don't know that I had any progress pictures. Just like,
Yeah. And I don't even think I really did that with Antonio as much either. Maybe like for my person, like a little bit, but not as
right.
I did want to do like I saw it was like a big thing doing Polaroids
Mm-hmm.
on like
Mm-hmm.
every 4 weeks or something like that, which is super cute. But I stressed myself out with Antonio on like I don't even know what to wear for the Polaroid, which was stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that for sure. I'll post on Instagram every once in a while to let the world know, where not the world, but like the girlies, because I feel like there is a lot that are like not interested, but that they'll always
Yeah.
respond to like my stories about
Right.
the pregnancy or this or that, or they're in the same thing or they're thinking about the second one, and so
Yeah.
yeah. But I started like later, but for sure, there's just no time. There's just no
Yeah.
time to be thinking. And so then the last thing that I can think of is the hospital bag prep. So when I was pregnant the first time, everybody was pregnant too, and two of my friends they gave birth early. They did develop preeclampsia, but one of them, she was 36 weeks and she went to her doctor's appointment. And they're like, you need to cross this parking lot and you need to go check yourself into the hospital. Like, now, this baby is going to be coming soon, and they didn't have anything ready. So I'm like, oh man, Adrian, like, you never know. Like, we need to have our bags packed. Everybody on TikTok does the what's in my hospital bag, what am I packing? So Antonio, we had our bags packed since 36 weeks. We had a doctor appointment, put him in the Jeep just in case. And then lo and behold, he wasn't born until 41 weeks. So, so he was just riding with this bag for 5 weeks. And with this one, just start. And when I say packing, I mean, oh, I think I'm gonna need this. Oh, let's set these pajamas aside. Oh, and I just been throwing it in. It's all thrown in. And then yesterday I started kind of losing what they call the mucus plug. Like on different occasions, stuff was coming. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should just solidify this a little bit more. But it's still not like organized. It's just in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And I'm 39, almost 39 weeks. So big difference. And I was like, you know what? If it happens, they have what you need at the hospital at the end of the
Right.
day.
Right.
And if they don't have what you need, the
The
next day
likelihood
after the baby's born, your husband,
is
your
you'll
mom,
probably go home. Yeah,
someone that and someone can come get you something,
for sure.
like, but the necessities are there, in all
Yeah.
honesty.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
just
I want to
about
ask what you're gonna
comfort.
do the coordinating of Antonio. Like, what are you thinking of all of that? Have you thought about that?
So Lisette is on call, so that's Adrian's sister,
Oh,
my sister-in-law. She is on call. She's let her job know.
go Lisette.
Yeah.
Yes. Love it. Dedicated, yeah.
And it will definitely also, depending on the time of day. For instance, if it's like the middle of the day, which I feel like is not very common, but if it's
No.
the middle of the day, I feel like we can take, depending on how traumatic things are, if I'm like going through it, whatever. My mom can meet us at the hospital and she wants to be at the hospital with us. And so she can also, take care of him in the waiting room. My mother-in-law can also be in the waiting room, if things are crazy. For the most part, I think like once I get the epidural, it's pretty chill, right? So he can even be in the room and with people there, of course, because that the hospital with the visitors, like they allow I think up to four other people in the room, in the delivery room. Antonio, because he's my son, he can be there as
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
so I think worst comes to worst, they can just kind of juggle him around there until Lisette is able to come. If things happen quick, I'm more anticipating. All right, I'm starting to feel things. I'm gonna start sending out the warning signals.
Yeah.
And then Lisette can make her way here, and then and then we go to the hospital,
Right.
and then
Right.
that's best case scenario, right?
Yeah.
But worst case scenario, we have people that can tag team him there in the room or in the waiting room, keep him busy, which maybe I do need to make like a busy bag or something
Yeah.
for him. But that'll pretty much be it. But Lisette will be in charge of like taking care of him here, especially like overnight, because we got the dogs too, and she's used
Yeah.
to
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
And so my mom will be with me, and then once we're all settled, baby's here, then take him to the hospital the next day to meet him. I know, I feel like I'm gonna be so emotional for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it'll be so sweet to see. But I'm
Yeah.
not gonna cry right now. But yeah, so that's like I feel like that's as planned as we can get it.
For sure.
One of my friends, she did do like a scheduled induction for her second, just
Mm.
because so she could have things more like
Set in stone type of
set in
thing.
stone. Yeah, for her first, just to know where she's gonna be and taken care of. But I feel like we have enough of a village that we don't need to, do that. It's
Yep.
so yeah, I'm just kind of going with the flow right now.
Yeah, yeah. With Jaden, it was the same way. Like we were scheduled for the first thing in the morning, and Dad was able. Actually, maybe it was a evening C-section scheduling with Jaden. I don't remember. Either way, I know that Dad was able to come and pick up John Judd and like take him for the day, and then that next day he was able to come and meet him, or the same
Yeah,
that same day he was able to come and meet him. So it was
yeah.
kind of a easier thing where one less thing that you have to worry about for the day
Hmm.
of, knowing that he's taken care of, and then just know like, hey, it's going to be 9 or so hours or like a couple of hours, whatever the doctor says, and then just have Adrian let Lisette know, hey,
Yeah,
bring him to the hospital at this time rather than
yeah,
keeping him busy in the lobby room.
yeah, yeah.
Might be easier for.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just until we are able to get like Lisette there, and then she can, bring him home and whatever, but or
Yeah.
whoever ends up being there. But I just think, yeah, that's our plan for now. Um, So yeah, I think that's pretty much as the prep. I just started sterilizing the bottles, which also I didn't sterilize the bottles throughout the whole like you I this was my mentality. I sterilized the bottles when they're brand new out the package. Maybe after like, 3 months of they're looking a little
Usage.
crusty and dingy, then I just boil them in
Yeah.
water, hot water, and call it a day. And
There's
so
these bags that you can steam them in that
mm,
I thought were sanitizing bags. I have a pack actually. I'll bring them to you because I thought I've been meaning to give you that in the bag of clothes, but
mm,
they're just bags. Medela makes them. They're from the
mm,
breast pump, which also too maybe that's a good thing to talk about too. Is if what your plans are for that going forward.
yeah. So I am going to try to be pumping or like breastfeeding with Antonio. I exclusively pumped, and with this one, I plan to do the same. Maybe I didn't even make it like 4 day, like honestly a week. I don't think of like actual breastfeeding Antonio because he was having like they released us from the hospital with Antonio and he hadn't pooped in our care. He is circumcised, and so I was like, well, maybe he pooped with them or maybe he pooped. I don't know. Nobody told me if he pooped or not, and they have you keep a log.
Yeah.
And my concern was we hadn't seen him poop. Everybody talks about the black tar poop, and we didn't experience that with him. Like, so I don't know if he did it like elsewhere. And he was always with us, minus when they took him out the room for the circumcision and then they brought him back.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I was really nervous and in my head about it whenever we got home that he hadn't pooped. And so I gave him a little bit of the formula that they'd give me at the hospital, which if you tell them at the hospital that you're exclusively going to breastfeed, they will not give you formula. I had told them that I wasn't sure, that I kind of wanted to do both, but they hadn't brought it to me. And we were there only like a day and a half, like not even a whole half day. And so when we were leaving, when we were packing everything and they're checking us out, I had asked the nurse, like, can you please give me like a little bit of the formula? And she's like, we're not supposed to if baby hasn't had it in the hospital, but because you asked so nicely, she brought me like a little 8 pack of the little bottle formulas.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
thankfully we had that just as like a backup, and we gave him that and then he instantly pooped.
Yeah.
Not the nicest poop, but
Yeah.
he did. And so then after that I was like more in my head about I don't know what he's getting, like, so I just started pumping. And your milk doesn't come in until a few days later, like
Right.
after you had babies' stomachs are so tiny they don't need a
Hmm.
lot of to get full, regardless of what your mom says or your tias and all that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just started pumping, and it's just kind of the way it worked out. And he took really well to the bottle, like, nothing. And so then that was just my journey. It wasn't planned, but I am grateful that I did do that because I'm so scared of baby not taking bottle.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and if I can breastfeed, that's the plan. I think with Antonio, I did about 7.5 months or pump, but he was on just breast milk for that long, and then we started incorporating formula because my supply started going down.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same plan. I probably will try to do, on breast a little bit longer. When I say longer, I mean 2 weeks, honestly.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
try, because I'm terrified of him not taking bottle.
Yeah.
I have a friend that she was in close contact whenever her son was born about 6 months after Antonio, and he would not take a bottle, like, until never. He's on, like,
Yeah.
he's about to be a year, or is a year or something like that, but never took a bottle. She tried every bottle under the sun. She's like, I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on bottles because I'm desperate. Like, you can't leave them anywhere.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like
You don't get a break,
no,
basically. Yeah.
no. She's like, I've literally left him with her mom. She left him with her
And you're on a
mom
time
for
limit when you do.
like 8 hours, and she's like, he literally refused to eat.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, and she's like,
Scary.
of course we're trying to like squeeze like the milk, the leche in his mouth, whatever, but it refused. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a lot mentally. Like, yeah, like
Yeah.
you said, you
Yeah.
don't get a break, and whether you work or not, especially if you work, that's
Mm.
10 times harder, right? And it's probably eventually they'll get there because they're not going to starve themselves that long. But I'm terrified of that.
Yeah.
So, and I think the thing was they were also not giving them a pacifier. And so I know if you give them a pacifier, it's a little bit better because they're getting used to that artificial nipple too. So that helps. And like with Antonio, we only did pacifiers for like napping times, like stuff like that, and then he's weaned himself off of it really quick. But yeah, so that's my plan. It's still like exclusively pump just because I'm
Yeah.
terrified of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have so I do want to get a nicer, which also procrastinating on a nicer wearable pump, because I feel like the ones that we got, they were like, we got them on the low. Whitney hooked it
Hmm.
up with the code, but I feel like, and I didn't know this, somebody said you're supposed to change the parts like every 3 to 6 months. You're supposed to have extra parts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Me neither. I'd never heard that. And I feel like I had done all the research everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, maybe that's why. Because they
Oh, I
started,
like the pumps because those are the ones that you sent me.
yeah, but I feel like mine started leaking a lot. And so I'm like, well, maybe it's because they need new parts or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But
I
I,
see.
I would like to order a better set, or
Yeah.
nicer, I don't know what the
Yeah.
word is,
Yeah.
but
Quality.
a different set of wearable, because that's going to be key. With
For sure.
Antonio, I was able to use the Spectra a lot more, but now I'm going to have a toddler I'm chasing her. I got to be more mobile with these things.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so yeah, I think that's like on the to-do list, which I need to get
Yeah.
on. But I still have, I have the Spectra and I have those other wearables. I just have to test them out to see
Yeah.
if they, or try to look up to get new parts or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just started sterilizing all that this morning. I'm pretty much almost done, but I gotta, get the bottle rack back out, like everything. I'm just like have it all over the island right now, and I'm like, all right, it's happening.
It's more real.
Yes, yeah.
Dang. Do you
So
think
that's
Antonio like realizes what's about to happen?
so we've been telling him. At first, I wasn't like, just beating it because I'm like, he's so little, like
Yeah.
he's so
Yeah.
smart. But at the end of
He
the
is very
day,
smart.
how much do they understand? But
Right.
as it's
Right.
getting closer, as my belly's gotten bigger, in the morning he would, comes to the bed, and I always tell him, "Baby, there's baby." He'd be like, "Baby," and then he would lift his shirt up, and then he would
Yeah.
say "baby" in his tummy. But now he is saying like "baby Santi," "baby brother." So his
Yeah.
name's gonna be Santiago, and so he'll be like "baby Santi," and he starts saying it more, and he does this. Antonio does this thing where if we're running errands, like, and he stays here with his dad or he stays here with me, when one of us get home, he's like, "Mama home, Dada home," and so I started saying like, "Mama home, Dada home, no home, baby home, baby Santi's gonna be home," like in
Yeah.
his brain the way he's
Yeah.
verbalizing things.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, "Baby brother's gonna be here. He's gonna lay down here with Tommy." He has this little stuffed cat that he calls him Tommy Cat because Vettel's cat is named Tommy.
So
And
cute.
so I'm like, "Baby is gonna see Tommy too. Baby," I'm now within these last
Yeah.
like 2 to 3 weeks, I've been trying to drill it a
Haven't
little
that in
bit
there.
more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he's somewhat grasping it, but he won't fully understand that this baby gonna live here full time
Right. He's gonna be
until
crying.
yeah, yeah. And
Be
then
loud, and we don't know.
yeah, exactly. And we were watching, anytime we're like TV or something and the baby's crying, he's like, "Baby sad, baby cry." And I'm like, "You have no idea. You have no idea." And hopefully he's similar to how Antonio was, but you never know. So he may be
Yeah.
hearing a lot of crying, but I don't know. I'm curious to see how he's going to react.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely know it's going to be a change for him, of course. So there may
Right.
be some
Right.
regressions. There may be more fussiness coming out of him.
Yeah.
And it's also just the stage he's in, period. He's getting closer to 2. And
Yeah.
like this morning, all morning, he throws himself on the floor. He'd be like, "Mama, okay? Okay?" And he wants me to be like, "Are you okay?" He
Yeah.
wants like more
The att-
validation and
You know what
attention.
though? I wonder if that's him sensing like it's about to change because somebody
Maybe.
said
Yeah.
that whenever you're, or maybe it was a Hispanic thing, but like I remember my mom saying like, "Oh, Jaden's being really clingy
Clingy.
to you." Yes, that they can sense that that's whenever, I don't know if that's a,
Yeah, no,
bruja vibe,
maybe. Yeah.
that he's looking and he's seeking for more of that attention because
Yeah.
he says, "I don't know,
Yeah. And
maybe
I know for
step on
sure,
your
on my
bruja."
brujeria.
Yeah.
Bruja vibes. For sure. I feel like it could be that. And then I know it's just something that's going to naturally happen. And like he
Hmm.
saw all the bottles on the counter and dropped his bottle. Turn one, we did away with it. He got a sippy cup. So I don't think he correlates it. That used to be mine. I don't think so
Right.
because he saw it and he was like, "Baby, baby, well, and then he just said baby, and then I said, "It's a teta, baby teta." He's like, "Yeah, baby." And Nila had a little doll that had a bottle, and he
Oh.
remembers that baby doll. He's like, "See," when I told him we were going to my mom's house, he's like, "See, baby Layla," and I'm like, "I don't think baby Layla's gonna be there." At first, I was like, "Who?" And then he's like, "Nia, baby Layla," and I'm like, "The little doll," and
His memory.
it's crazy. It's weird. And he was like and he was so concerned about feeding this baby, like the little bottle she had. So
Yeah.
I was like, maybe he remembers from that, and
Yeah.
I mean, they say, try to just get him involved as much as you can, like help wise. And he does, like, anytime I'm like, "Let's help mama. Can you help mama do this?" And he's on it. He's at that age
Yeah.
where that's like makes him happy and
His thing.
included. And also going in with hopefully the mentality of my main focus is still him because he's the one that knows what's happening.
Right. Right.
As long as that baby's fed and changed, then if the baby's crying and he needs something, Antonio's needs are
Yep.
gonna come first, and then baby
Yeah.
will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I do anticipate on like baby wearing, I think, a little bit more than what I did with Antonio because I mean you
You'll
got
be able to.
to. And just being caught because at the end of the day, he's a little bit as sweet as he is. He doesn't know his force or
Right.
like
Right. Right.
let's try to avoid some accidents from happening. He is
Yeah.
very gentle with the babies. Dang it, he's awake. With babies that he's been around, but I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe with the baby that is like here to stay, it's gonna be a little bit different.
Hmm.
So I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm thinking about right now
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that part of it. But I am like with Antonio, I was trying to do all the things to get him out of me. I was so excited to meet him.
Yeah,
And this
yeah.
baby, I'm like, you can stay cooking as long as you like. Because I just feel I do feel nervous. Like, I don't know. Like, everybody talks about how the second one is so much easier because you know what you're doing. But I feel like I was so
Mhm.
prepared with Antonio and he was such a good baby that it
Yeah,
was just easy.
yeah.
And this is going to be a different type of hard just because there's two. I'm not
Hmm.
so nervous for like the taking care of the baby, but it's like, all right,
Right.
taking care of both of them.
It's literally dividing and conquering. I think
Yeah.
this part is you're literally relying on your other person so much that for me, that was hard to do because it was like, I know the ways to do it, but now it's like, all right, your other person has to step up and like literally be your second set of hands. And that's what I mean, you've got to lean on them and you've got to know that they're going to take care of Antonio while you attend to baby and then vice
Mhm.
versa, like y'all switch off. But also, it's like very mentally preparing yourself to make sure to not let Antonio feel like you're not giving it. And I think that was the hardest part for me, was feeling that most like guilt leading up to Jaden getting here. And even, just the second one, especially him getting here to where John John didn't feel like I felt like I needed to spend one-on-one time with him
Yeah.
so much because I know he wasn't going to get that as often.
And
But
I think like for me that will maybe be like the bedtime. Like
mhm.
we I do it most of the nights because Adrian has so much stuff going on and even sometimes with his podcast too that
Yeah.
but I do also let Adrian do it of course just so he can have but I majority of the nights do it but I'm like okay I think once baby's here that's going to be an important thing cuz it only takes 5 minutes. I mean I just
Yep.
go in there read him a book and then he goes to sleep. I don't
Yeah.
rock him or anything crazy. But
Yeah.
like just having that one time for sure
Yeah.
is like in my head, like, all right, we're
Yeah.
gonna have to do this. But I feel like when it comes to like giving baby a bath, it could be like a Antonio's there, or
Mhm.
Antonio's in the bathtub and the baby's in his little. We have
Yeah.
like a mini bathtub that goes outside of the thing
Yeah.
that we used for Antonio when he was like new baby, and so like
Yeah.
that could be a thing where it's a family bath time type of
Right.
thing,
Right. Right.
on the days that it's feasible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, assuming baby is chill and likes
Yeah.
baths. If not, then we will not be doing that. Then we'll be taking turns
Yeah.
doing bath time. And I mean, but that's for sure. Like, yeah, my other friend who she just had her second, not just, but she has her second, and her kids are. Let's see, the first one was born in April. She's about to be 2 April. This baby was born in August of
Okay.
last year. So they're
Back to back.
close, yeah. She's like, we were texting the other day, and it was like maybe. Then she was like, about 2 months ago. She was like, about 2 months ago. Her first one. She's like, she finally likes me again. Like she went through a, like I just want dad type of thing. Like baby's here, I just want dad. And she's like, so that was very sad. And she had 2 girls, and so then they're super young. Like she was really young, and so she's like, she just started liking me again, so that's great. And I'm like, oh, that's so sad, but I know it can happen. And because right now Antonio's all about mama. Like me and Adrian can be on the couch, and he's like, mama, catch, mama, let's go run, let's go kick. Like everything's mama, and he'll still go to Adrian, of course, but like it's mama and then dada.
Yeah.
So yeah, how that's gonna change. I'm mentally prepared. I mean, when it happens, it's still gonna be difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, yeah. So I do feel nervous just to have both of them here. And I know it's gonna be rough at the beginning, but I think once we get stuff settled and situated and just see how baby is, I think at the end of the day, that's like all you can do is just what is this baby gonna be like,
Yeah.
and then go from there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Crazy. Primas, if y'all have any advice to give Gladys, y'all should share it.
Yeah, yeah, like they're gonna be 21 months apart. So my friend Holly from high school,
Oh, yeah,
she
yeah, yeah.
sent me a really nice message. She was like, "Look, my first two are 20 months apart," and she's like, "Honestly, it's the best thing ever." She's like, because of course it's hard, but then once they're like able to entertain each other, they're gonna be like so close. And she's like, they play so well together. And she does have a boy and a girl and then a boy. But she's like, they play so good together. And she's like, my third one from the middle is 3 years apart. And she's like, and you can see the difference because the middle one doesn't want to play down to the 1 year old.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't want to play what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like he wants to play where I on his level. And
Right.
so she's like, the little one, it's back to me, mama entertaining and doing all the
Yeah.
things. She was like, that's the
Yeah.
one thing that she could say about the age gap. She was like,
Close-mate.
it's,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. I'm like, and that's how I think too. Like, I'm like, once
Mm-hmm.
we get there, I know we got to get
Yes.
there, but
Right,
once
right, right.
we get there, it's going to be like, okay.
Okay. We can
And I
breathe.
think also, like, for Antonio, even though he's closer to turning two, like, he's not 100% used to being the only child. Think about like a 3 to 4, for sure,
Right.
4 year old, 4
Yeah.
years of being the
Yeah.
only child.
Yeah.
And then this new kid just comes in and disrupts everything.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it takes their brains are more developed, so they understand a lot more. So I think
Right.
that's a lot harder too to deal with, as if they have that, like, especially I think little girls sometimes, they're so nurturing, motherly, like
Yeah.
it's an
Yeah.
instinct that it's different
For sure.
sometimes, or they could
That's
be
true.
more clingy. But I'm like, I feel like regardless, there's a hard in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think
We're
that's
at
how I'm feeling.
51 minutes.
We are.
Do you see the time? Yeah. It
Where?
says it at the top of
Yeah, we
mine.
are. There we are. I'm over here looking at well, I forgot. I'd started the timer, but this is just 45 minutes of just talking about the pregnancy stuff. Okay.
Um,
Antonio's currently, can we see this? Oh no, it's glared. He's
oh,
like,
it's glaring. Is he
hey,
awake?
he's been awake for like 15 minutes, but he's just like, la la
Hanging
la la
out?
la. Yeah, he was like
Okay, okay,
halfway
good.
off and on the bed reading a book. Now he's playing with the cat and his stuffed cat. He's
What
hanging
was
out.
your well, any
I
last
have. So we've talked about starting a segment, which let's see if we
oh
can
yeah.
get a little into it. Were you gonna say that or something else?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm into all the things. On TikTok a lot, and it's the things that I have nobody to talk about. I have no one to talk about this with, and it doesn't have to be specific to TikTok, but this week it is. Actually, there's multiple things. It's so many things to talk about, but one thing on TikTok is this drama, and let's do. We don't want to be too long on it, so let me restart my little timer so that I know what I'm talking about. So there's this, like, I didn't follow them for like the longest time, or I don't follow them, period. But the storyline, I wasn't, there's these two main characters. It's Bree and 2K. Okay, 2K is a guy, Bree is a girl. They
Okay.
were dating. They're both TikTokers. I don't know how she got TikTok famous, but he got TikTok famous from being like a barber and like just talking and doing his clients, whatever. Anyway, they start dating. She gets pregnant, and I wasn't like throughout the whole pregnancy, not involved, not there, didn't know anything. But apparently, when like towards the end of her pregnancy, she started claiming all these things about him, that he was like doing domestic violence and trying to keep him away from her and all these things. He's originally from Dallas. She's from Corpus, but she's lived in LA for like 6 years. And I think during that time when they were dating, he was in LA because that's what TikTok influencers, all the things, they go out there to get the bag. Anyway, so he wasn't involved for like the last couple months, and then the baby's born, and the story is that she was keeping him away, but apparently right when the baby was born, he filed an order to get full custody, or to get custody of this child. So fast forward, the baby's name is Winter, and it's a little boy, and he's so cute. And while going through this custody battle, they had a thing where she was with him for a majority of the month, and then he would get him for a week. So he was flying out to LA from Dallas, because now he's back once a week, renting an Airbnb to take care of the baby for a week, and then give him back, and then fly back, and all the court, everything is in LA. And so now the baby is like 9 to 10 months old, and there's the final custody battle is happening in April, so coming soon. But she is now party girl problems. She is an OF girl, and she's
Who's
like
an OF girl for those?
OnlyFans.
Duh. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Got it now.
Um, she's like always on live
She's gotta
and
make her money.
doing, and like, but she's like wild child in it out. At first she was taking care of the baby, but now things have shifted to where now the baby is with him full time, and she gets to only see him 1 week because of her actions. Like, he filed an emergency injunction because
Oh
things she was
no.
doing on live. There's been claims of her doing cocaine, like that she's just doing a lot of crazy things. It's not just like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, and like
Okay.
escorting, like all the things. And
Okay.
she's like,
Okay.
and she's 24.
Young.
And so him and his mom are taking care of the baby. And he was flying the baby out to LA to go spend the 1 week with her. So then he finally filed another injunction to make her come to Texas to see the baby.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't do it. She forfeited her right to do, like, she was like, oh, I couldn't make it. Like, the flights like were, I just couldn't get a flight and I had to work. I couldn't move my schedule. Completely, she's just completely done a 180 on like
Yeah.
not being the best mom. And so, yeah, I'm just knee deep into the drama. And this last, like 2 weeks ago, or 1 week, no, 1 week ago, she flew to Texas to get him for her week. She flew the baby back to LA after there was a court order saying that she had to spend her parenting time in Texas. So this is called parent kidnapping when you do this against a court order. So she took him back to LA. She's currently living in a house that's called the MILF house. They all do OF. And she has a boyfriend that the boyfriend seems to be more like a pimp. And he's only like 20 years old. And the baby's there. They're streaming the baby live for like 24 hours, like in the room, just hang, like they weren't doing anything wrong with the baby, but just the fact that you're streaming this child for 24 hours, making money off of him because everybody's like involved and worried for the baby's like well-being because of the environment that he's in. Because it
Oh my
also
God.
says that he can't be around, you know, all these other people. He only needs to be around the mom and family.
Yeah.
And the fact that she flew him out after not being able to, he was in LA anticipating this to happen because she said she made a joke on live on TikTok live about it, and everybody screen records, sends his stuff. He
Oh
sends the
yeah.
stuff to his lawyer, and so he files another more emergency injunction that he has to go get the child because she broke court orders. The judge had to file that a warrant for the cops to go, and it was a whole, and all this is on TikTok live. It's all on
No.
TikTok live. Everybody's stressed for this baby because you're like, we want to make sure the baby's okay. And he ended
Yeah.
up getting the baby back after she had him for literally like no more than 2 days. And the only other person that's like knee deep into this is Amy. And I
I was
texted,
gonna say you have to have somebody else to talk to about this because this is making my heart already go for this poor
no,
baby.
it's so
But I don't
sad.
know how much of this I can take.
And I texted her, baby Winter's back home. He's safe. And she's like, oh my God, I just got caught up on everything. And I see everything through like screen recordings. I'm not seeing
Yeah.
everything like live happening. I'm
Has it?
just like,
Yeah.
what happened today? Is baby Winter back with 2K, with Mama 2K? Like, and she tries talking this mess. The mom tries talking Bree that like the grandma helps him take care of the baby. But he retired his mom so that he could, like, he pays everything for his mom so she can be like taking
Right.
care of the baby.
Right.
He's like, that's what grandma, you know, families, generations have done that for years. Like, I'm involved. He lives with me, but she helps me when I'm working, when I'm doing
Right.
my, whereas she just has random people taking care of him, like, you know, in
Yeah.
horrible, horrible environments. But yeah, that's my whole TikTok. This one girl that I follow, she's the old, like, she's 34, 35, has her own full kids, lives in Florida or something. She's like, I am so worried about baby Winter. Like, everybody is just like fully invested.
Oy,
And
oy, oy.
she's, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like at this point she's using it as a bit to make more
Yeah.
money because
Yeah.
everybody's so invested.
Going off
Like,
of it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, because she's convinced that she's not going to lose custody, but everybody's like, there's no way you don't lose custody. Like,
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
dug yourself so deep into a hole. And she tries to blame postpartum depression. And it's like,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, that's such a cop out because, you know, women that have gone through it, they're like, just because you have that doesn't make you a shitty mom. Like, it makes you
Yeah.
maybe detached, maybe feel all these kinds of things, but doing cocaine and being a, you know, it's not an
Right.
excuse. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the tea for today. I went over 2 minutes and done. So, yeah, I have
Well,
nobody to talk to about this, guys.
somebody else can.
I'm
Well,
sure somebody out there knows who I'm talking
yeah,
about.
has to. Have to.
Yeah,
All right, well, this one we got to wrap up.
gotta do.
Maybe we can squeeze another one in. What do you think?
Maybe. I mean, he's
A
still
short.
chilling in the bed.
Okay, yeah. Primas, if you aren't following us yet on YouTube, like and subscribe. Also on Instagram. Oh, but TikTok also too. All the things. All the things, Just
Like,
go ahead and throw them all out there.
subscribe on YouTube. Yeah. TikTok, we put more like longer segments of clips of the videos, which I think on Instagram we're gonna start doing more clips, but like shorter, because that seems to be what the people like. You know, we're trying to figure out what works, what what's going to like actually hold your attention, you know, or you don't want to
Mm,
just keep putting stuff out there.
yeah.
But we're finding that I think shorter clips on Instagram about one topic also works, because we'll do our teaser just to let y'all know what the little episode is going to be about still, and then we'll add, you know, little segments on there. But TikTok, we do longer form. We're just trying to get more primas out there, reach the
Yeah.
primas,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just keep moving. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
but
Well,
thank y'all. Hope this works out. We're gonna see how
yeah.
this
Yeah.
works, and let us know if you're a viewer
Yeah.
and a listener, if there's a difference, you know, in the
Mm-hmm.
quality
Mm-hmm.
wise, what y'all think
Mm-hmm.
about that. But yeah,
Well,
thank
until next
y'all
time.
for tuning
Adios.
in. Primas, adios.
When you